6:30, we'll call the board meeting to order. All board members are present, so we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, no one's here for open forum public input. So we'll just do approve agenda, changes to agenda. We did have one change we added under discussion items. I discussed early graduation requests. And so we just need a motion to approve the changes to the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Fleischner, second by Schoenfelder to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion approved.
All right, so there's no new conflicts of interest, so we'll move to approve consent agenda. We will approve April minutes, approve claims, approve summer school and custodial staff, approve contract for nursing services with Avera. Are there any questions about any of those things?
I do have a few more.
Oh, I can read this. Do you want me to read this?
Either way, then
Yeah, I
I
can
can
read
add,
it.
I can add to that after.
Okay, the school board will review the minutes from the April board meeting, pay existing claims, and approve the work agreements with the following staff for Our Home Incorporated Summer School: Jennifer Bartelt, Jeanette Vandenhoek for the month of June, and Heather Andera.
Andre.
How do you say it?
Andre.
I always say it wrong. Chad Jadozzi for the month of July for 4 hours per day, prorated per their daily rate of pay. Custodial staff, adult Daryl Bray at $15.60, adult Chad Jadozzi mowing at $15.60 per hour. Summer helpers, 4 students at $11.20 per hour.
And we need to add, I forgot to add, Lynette Gerlach and Kara Toribio, and they are our special ed teachers who take care of our summer school program, and that runs 4 weeks. 2 weeks last part of June, and then 2 weeks, and take the 4th off, and then 2 weeks into July. And their rate of pay, I believe, according to negotiated agreement, I think it's $30 an hour.
Okay.
So I did
You had no problem getting volunteers,
to
summer school? The teachers.
summer school. No, our home component of it, yeah, no, they're pretty solid on that. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions?
I don't have the students per name yet, so, but I'm not sure we'll come up with 4, but we'll.
How old you gotta be? How old you have to be?
Last year we ended up taking some 15-year-olds because we went to Bagan,
Okay.
but I do have, I think I do have 4 applications this year, and we put in there 15 years or older, so we'll see where that gets us, so, anyway.
So you feel good about Avera's?
Yep, it's a loaded question, Mr. Pro.
Yep.
Do I feel good about it? Not necessarily, but, and speaking as the admin and Mr. Fisher and Mr. Knipling on doing everything we can to try to retain some nursing services now that the ESSER 3 money is gone, and that was a greater portion how we funded that
Right.
particular position. So, doing some budgetary, crunching and trying to come up with the dollars, that for 3.5 hours a day times 170 days per school year, you add it all up, that's what you get to is a contract just shy of about 30 grand, so, we'll make it, we'll get there, and I think the service that they do provide, especially in that time frame in the morning, is valuable, so, we'll do the best we can after that with the staff that we have on in the offices, but it's really nice in the morning that's when a lot of stuff kind of goes awry with kids, so. If we can get past the first 3.5 hours, I think we can survive the rest of the day. So, if I didn't think we could do it, I wouldn't be wasting our time telling you that we're scratching to find the money, but we'll get it done.
Okay, so any other questions? You just need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So
John,
I'll second it.
Jill. Got a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda, motion by John, second by Jill. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. None heard, motion carries.
All right, we'll move to information staff reports. First was high school principal, which he's not here, so we had that email, right?
Yep, so if we just take a little time here and look at Mr. Knippeling's email that was sent out. I copied that document off for you, it's in the packet. So essentially, his component of, first and foremost, we'll talk about this a little bit later on the agenda, it's going to be added for early graduation request. So we can refer back to that, but some of the things that are coming down the pipe at the high school level, we just found out last week that our state testing, the state assessment is going to be replaced finally by the ACT. And in order to make that happen, I believe they're making the NCRC, which has been our college and career readiness data point in our school performance index number, that will be offered not by the state, but we can, as an individual school district, offer that if we want to, but it will be at our cost. Excuse me, where prior it's always been at the state's cost. So there's that component of that. And then, which one am I forgetting? There was two components. Oh, I think I put in my notes, which we can talk about here real quick, is our evaluation system called Frontline, where the state of South Dakota always provided that software in order to do that and stay current with our evaluations, because it meets all aspects of what the state of South Dakota expects in an evaluation tool, therefore going that too. We get those two components for one more year, so the school year 24-25, and the state assessment, and then the following year, that everything's off the table. If we want to use those, it's at our cost. The state assessment will transfer for our juniors into the ACT, and that is at the state's cost. So one component I will reference to that, we've talked, Mr. Knippling and myself, we're going to take a hard look at aligning our freshman and sophomore classroom expectations to ACT products as well. Those are an opportunity to test our freshmen, test our sophomores, and that leads up into the full-blown ACT as a junior. So you have relevant data points there from one year to the next. You can do a better job of tracking students' progress. Where our state assessment, always after 8th grade, they dropped until there was a junior. We didn't have any data point in which to align to. But ACT now, they do have, not now, but they've always had a product line in order to, I guess, correlate with your junior ACT test. So something that we're talking about doing, I think he's talked to his staff about doing that, so we can have real numbers and we can have start having some further in-depth conversation with kids. The example I'll give you from years past when I've done this is like, well, I want to be a doctor. You do? Yep, I really want to do that. Okay. So after that freshman year, and we take it was called the plan. That was the 9th grade ACT assessment, and they gave a predictor based on how they did on that, as far as what their composite score was going to be on the ACT. Well, there's a little bit of a disconnect there, young man, because if you want to be a doctor, in order to get into school, your math, your science components, your composite score overall, you're not going to get there when you got 14. And that's what it's predicted, and that's the path you're on. So you start building those relationships and you start filling those gaps and those holes in their curriculum and their pathway, their personal learning plan in order to be that doctor if that's what they want to do. So it just, when you sit down with kids and you have those conversations and the realization comes like, okay, if I want to do that, that's what I got to do, but maybe that's not what I'm going to do, capable of doing, I don't know. So you don't try to crush their dreams, but you make it real. I mean, you certainly enlighten them as to what work lies in front of them. So those are a couple of things on that ACT component.
Mr. M,
Yes.
do we have any correlation today on how our kids have done on ACT tests?
Yeah, so typically we get that information back. It was always a fall of the year, but we've got a final report back from ACT as far as the number of kids who took it. And I do include that in our fall numbers when I do our state assessment presentation, those numbers are in there from year to year. So we have that tracked within SD stars, and that's our correlation component of how many kids in Parkston take the ACT and what their average, the school's average composite score is. And then it even goes full far to say is how many are college career readiness prepared by the DOE's definition of that. So it's 4 years of science, 4 years of math. I mean, so that stuff's all spelled out in graphic format. And we usually go over that, I think in October, if I remember, September or October. I think I give you guys that information, so. We'll have that information again, in the fall of the year, so. It's a good question, though. Anything else on that? Prom went well. I was there till 4:30 in the morning, so I can attest that it went well. I think he's proposing to maybe cut that back a little bit. It's not news to me, because I've done proms all my whole educational career, and kids, they want to cash it in by midnight, if you can believe that. I mean, I find that hard to believe, but, you know, maybe we're a different generation. At least I was a different generation in that respect, but try to shorten things up a little bit to get to that after prom concept and get kids home in a little bit more, I would say, reasonable amount of time. They did well. The kids participated. I think they enjoyed, you know, the after prom component of that, but you know, they tapped out at the dance about 11:15, so, and that was supposed to go until midnight, so. Let's potentially maybe save some money there too, I don't know. But semester test started today, they're going today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, get through that with a 1 o'clock dismissal. If you see some kids out milling around, some of them do have privileges during that time even, so just something to always bring to your attention. If somebody calls you and says, what's with all kids hanging out on school and driving around and this, that, and the other, well, if they don't have a test to take, and if they got certain criteria, then they don't have to be in school, so. And then he references next month, it just starts our process that Mr. Fisher and Mr. Knipling do our handbook changes, and we usually do those 2 readings, so I know he's spending plenty of time trying to tighten a lot of things up in that school handbook for the 6th through 12. So yes, that's his.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll move to Mr. Fisher.
Kind of wrapping things up. Today's our last event with the junior high track happening out there. We had our varsity track meet that we hosted last week on Thursday. That was successful. We had a pretty good day for that and some good times. Softball, we're working our way through. We're getting closer to the end. They've been playing a couple games a week, 2-3 games a week, and so they've been busy with that. Girls golf has had kind of a tough spring just with the weather, but we have regions coming up for that next Monday, the 20th, which we'll be hosting in Mitchell. There's a last chance meet. There's no more regions in track, but there's a last chance meet on Thursday this week down in Platte that we'll be partaking in. In softball, I think the SODAC 16 is it next week? Next week, Tuesday for that. So kind of all coming to a close here. It's been busy, but been good. We had Pop's concert as well that took place. So everybody has been just busy kind of finalizing their last hurrah here with just a day and a half left. So it's been good. It's been a good spring. Been busy. But yeah, things have been going well with that. As far as the summer goes, we're getting ready to amp up with our summer strength and conditioning programs. That will start the first week in June. So we're getting information out to the public. That's posted on the website. Sent it out to parents and kids as well. So we're taking registrations for that. So kids will have a couple weeks off, maybe, but then right into the summer stuff. Our hope is that we would maybe be in the new weight room by July, but we do have stuff set up in our old wrestling room so that we won't be without a weight room. So that's all set up and ready to go, so we'll be ready to kick things off in June in that space. So we have kind of backup plans prepared if that's not quite ready. So everything's kind of set up and ready to roll for the summer. So that's kind of that aspect of things. As far as elementary, again, things have are winding down. We're getting our results from the state assessment coming in, and those are looking positive. We're above state average on 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Seen a lot of, we really looked at tracking our growth, and our growth in 4th and 5th grade has been really, really impressive to see, which is encouraging, just with our students really buying into putting forth effort, as well as the work the teachers have done. So that's been really positive. Our 4th grade group is really putting up some phenomenal numbers as far as proficient and above in their testing. I think we're going to be really happy when we see those end results. But 4th and 5th grade, the growth aspect, really impressive too. So that's been good. Otherwise, just kind of wrapping things up. We have preschool graduation going on right now. Man, packed house, so it's fun to see that, the support that those kiddos get. And so excited to bring them on. You know, half of them will be going to kindergarten, half are kind of going the beginnergarten route. So it looks like we're welcoming in a lot of good families. I know the kids have been working hard, and it's a good group of kids coming to us. 5th graders have taken some time to go see things at the high school end to kind of figure out what middle school will bring. And so it's that, all those transitions that are happening, and I think it's all been really positive. So excited about how things are wrapping up and ending here, and that's kind of what I have for elementary report. Any questions on any of that?
The clarification, no summer school this year. And
Yeah, we won't be doing our reading program this summer. We had used ESSER funds to run that the last couple of years. It grew a lot more than we anticipated, and so we're kind of taking a year to rethink and think about how we can budget for that, and maybe even write some grants for that, to hopefully bring it back next year. But yeah, we won't be offering our summer reading program this year, which we're under a lot of construction too with, and there's a lot of things there. So yeah. Any other questions on anything with that? Okay.
Thank you. All right, Mr. McInerney.
The only thing I got left there is just an update on CTE grant that we've talked about the last couple of years, and trying to apply for an equipment grant and upgrades to our shop space. And that was nixed this year. The opportunity did not happen, but for whatever reason, I think they found some pot of money to go ahead and offer that one more round. And I've read in all my materials that this will be the last time. So Ms. Ackerman and myself, watching a couple webinars, and we're going to put together our proposal and our grant application. We need to get that submitted. Get rid of the deadline in June, it's like the middle of June. And hopefully we'll be in consideration for what we're asking for, and we'll have some upgrades to our equipment within our shop space. So I got a good feeling that we'll be rewarded with what we're asking for. So, but that's the only other thing I had to do, because that DOE stuff was already done. We talked about, so.
Mr. Quickly stuff, okay?
Yep.
All right, so we will move to, any questions? Okay, we'll move to discussion items. Discussion item A is to review policy manual. The following ASBSD policies are being presented for review and a first reading: DM and DN, which were included in your packet.
I only included those this go around just to finish that section, and I thought we had enough to go about, and then we'll start section E here next month. But those are the two last policies left in our policy manual for review in section D. So.
Okay, any questions on those?
That is, cash in school buildings is DM and DN is surplus property. I did not see anything that was within those policies that's out of the realm of what we hold true to and what we abide by and what we follow. So I think there are no changes per se, unless somebody had a question about either one of those.
Okay. All right. We'll move to discussion item B, review policy manual. The following ASBSD policies are being presented for review in a second reading: DJG, DK, DLA, DLB, DLC. Those were in our last month's packet that we already reviewed once. Any questions on any of those? All right. Okay, discussion, item C is policy, review policy manual. The following ASBSD policies are being presented for review and adoption. DJ, DJB, DJBA, DJC, and DJD. There weren't any questions, we just need a motion to approve. So moved.
Motion by Neville, second by Leishner. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. No opposed, motion carries.
All right, we will move to discussion item D, which is building projects. The school board will review the recent timeline for the current building project and discuss any change orders associated with the project, as well as review the proposed HVAC project timeline for completion proposed by Paulson Sheet Metal.
So, first thing I draw your attention to in your packet, there should have been about 4 pieces that had maybe some color on it, had like a schematic on it, CAD drawing, these types of things, and it had those. So that's the HVAC project I'd like to address first. So obviously, we've been talking about this thing for a long time now, actually going on, I don't know, year 3 maybe? I think so. And with the intention of trying to get this project wrapped up this summer. And I feel comfortable now in having to sit down face-to-face conversation with Paulson's about this. And this is the creation that came out of that conversation and an exact time frame, a timeline. You can see the areas in which it's designated, in which that process is going to happen. So it's anywhere from demolition to upgrade. Or installment, and then getting things back online. So you can correlate that first page where it's talking about Area D, Northeast, Area D, Southeast, Area D, West. That's what the maps are for. So if you look at the maps, you can do the correlation as to, okay, what areas are they particularly talking about. And again, the only thing that's left down here is the elementary. It's the elementary wing, and over here to where the art and the music room is, and then we do have the last little bit of DDN and the band and the choir room over in that corner. So once that whole, they get all that stuff retrofitted and back online, then that project will be complete. But I think the important thing is you can see an established timeline, a greater portion of it by the end of June that they would be done. That music space perhaps maybe fall into July just a little bit, but for the most part, I am happy with the proposed timeline that they put together, knowing some of the difficulties that we had last summer. I guess I told you I would bring that back to you guys, and I would hold their feet to the fire, and I think they've stepped up, and at least on paper, they've assured me that they got a timeline as to how it's gonna get finished. So how that proceeds, we'll see. And one thing that's missing out of here is that there will be weekly meetings between him and I. And I think we'll see how those go. But I'm not gonna get stuck in the same position we were stuck in last year. So I will do my best to be professional and polite and respectful as possible with a firm hand and saying, you dropped the ball this week, so how are you gonna make up the difference? So, and I feel better just because of I think the foreman that's gonna be on the job, so. Because when that foreman showed up finally at end of July, 1st of August last year, then stuff got done. So that's who's gonna be here from the get-go. And I can have a conversation with him, so he's a good guy. Questions on that part of it? Okay, and then the second part, the PITS schedule that did not make it in there, but that's your 3-week building schedule. So I set that on it wasn't in your packet, but it was, looks like this. I know you got another PITS document in there, but I will sit in there. The windows are in if you did not get a chance to see that. In the fitness space, doors are starting to be hung on the inside. I would say all of the mechanical, electrical and plumbing trades, they're constantly working, but they're just about wrapping up things. the gym equipment installation, all the, help me, the things that baskets hang on.
The pole, backboards are up.
Yeah, the backboards are up and the poles and those, and then all the netting apparatuses, the batting cages, and the netting that goes around the facility. All the infrastructure for those things to do what they're doing are up. And then that's even between the fitness space and the multi-use space. So I just give you a forewarning, when you walk in there, don't look up. Because you're gonna be like, oh my, there is steel everywhere. I mean, beyond everywhere. And one didn't really take that into account. I mean, it is what it is, because in order to do everything we want to have happen in there, but it's like a jigsaw puzzle hanging up there, so pretty impressive. So, and then sheetrock starting on that northwest corner tomorrow. I did touch base on that, and then that's finishing off the very bottom there. The from ARS. The wall panels that go on the outside of the building. So those three, when you come in from the north, you guys asked about like those three precast. They're like, why is that a different color? That's what all that metal wall panel goes on. So you'll never see any of that stuff. And then they're supposed to be starting that hopefully this week as well. So we'll see about ARS. I'm having some angst with the ARS right now based on our gutter project that from 2 winters ago now that got ripped off, and that MPR apex on the MPR gym that they came and did some patching, but I've rattled the cage more than once, and I've even went to another guy to rattle a cage. I thought I was going to get some headway, but I still have not gotten any headway. So I'm gonna have to keep rattling cages on that. So that's your building update. And then I think the other document that I have in there that I would suggest to you, your change orders. Oh, okay. So the other pits document. Okay, that's this one. Yep, it's this one. Because that one that's got color on it, that'll be down in our other component of capital outlay. So this document goes out of our $350,000 of contingency. It's a running tabulation of the change orders up to this point in time on the new addition. And while the bottom number there, you can see what is left in that contingency balance. Recall the very first number to the top left, that whole office that we did after the fact, that's half of your number. So the other ones, you can see those here and there, and you can see the running tabulations, and it gives you the idea of the short description of what those change orders have been. When things are moving, I guess I will take responsibility. If you see something on there, well, it's first I've heard of it. There's things just within the project that I guess I take responsibility for as a superintendent. If you come to me, it's very difficult to, in a timely manner to, disperse it out to you guys and then to wait for feedback. I mean, I certainly haven't done anything I don't feel that's out of the scope of the project and what would be expected. And some of the things that we have talked about and some of the things we haven't. Some of those things just have to happen in order for the project to continue to move forward. Some of them, I've expressed my displeasure and my angst with, okay, why did this happen? And usually it's in the design process. And I've had that very frank conversation with the architects. And I think there's some agreement. Other than you're right. No, I don't know that I got any headway as far as, yeah, you're right, but where's the accountability when I'm right on your monetary side of things? So still kind of hashing some of those things out, but you can see some with negatives, some with positives, and you can see the balance on the right, how it goes up and down. based on, you know, what that is. And again, this is a line item in the actual budget. So that was part of your 6.3 million. So, and you still have 180,000 left in there yet. We're just about done.
I just had a question on number 7.
Yep. So RFP remove long jump pit.
It cost us $32,000 to remove the long jump pit.
I think they just forgot the negative there.
Yeah, it's a bonus, so if you watch. it goes-
The balance actually.
So then it goes from 212 back up
goes
to
up.
245.
Right, it's right under, it's okay on the right side, just not on the.
It went
There's
from
a
two.
couple of them that way.
Yeah, because I did it too, and I'm like, well, shouldn't it be I want a positive in front of the number? But when I run the running total on the right, I found it, so, you know. And it actually was 40 something, 41,000, and, but there was I want to say it wasn't a horse trade, but there were some things within that project of removal of that were reassigned. But after that was even all done and over with, we still captured almost $33,000 by removing that long-term pad, so.
Do you anticipate that fund having enough money? at the end of the
Yes,
project?
yes,
Okay.
yep. I don't see any surprises on the outside with the outdoor classroom that's left and those metal on the outside. That change has already been made, and I don't know that it's reflected on here yet, but we changed the metal on the outside to a tensile strength, you know, like a 10 gauge, 12 gauge, 16 gauge. It went from, I think, 22 gauge to 24, only because they wouldn't have been able to get the 22 in a timely manner, and that was the next option to go with 24 on the tensile strength. So it wouldn't have changed any of the appearance of it by any stretch, but I'm not sure if that's reflected in there yet or not. But
Is the stoop change in there yet? I don't think that's in there. I don't see that anywhere either, do you?
no, I don't think we've got to that, because
Yeah.
that part hasn't happened
Started
yet.
yet. So there might be some, I was saying stoop.
When they start busting the concrete out on Monday, they'll cut a hole in the wall, and come Monday the 20th, Diamond Doug is here. Hole in the wall going into the current weight room. They'll cut the hole in the wall, then they'll go in and start cutting all the chase work out of there in the floor. And they will be wheelbarrowing all that out through the MPR door going to the west. And I said, you make sure that you have plywood down and blah, blah, yep, got it all accounted for, so.
Why don't they just go down the hallway?
Huh?
Why don't they go down the storage room door? The new storage room area.
Because it's too full of crap, and plus there's no way to account for it on the outside. There's not enough, I mean, it's a mess out there.
Yeah.
And that's our biggest concern. If it rains or whatever, at least they can get out and go out that MPR and come back. So I thought that was important. I mean, I know we've talked about a lot of change orders, but this is all of them in a nutshell. And there's still a few missing, but I can add to that as we move forward, so.
Only question I
Yes,
had
sir.
is the January and February temporary heat.
Yep.
You know, it sat idle for November, December when it was really nice,
Mhm.
and nothing was done where they could have got it sealed up. Is there any, what was the reasoning for the timeline or the delay on all that stuff? Or
Yeah, just because.
just because, okay, I didn't know if,
Construction.
sure, sure,
That's a poor answer, Scott, but that's
Yeah.
about the answer that I get. So.
okay.
But, there is a line item in the budget too, to account for your heat, and that line item was 75,000.
Oh, so,
And we'll come,
sure,
we won't even have a fraction of that
sure.
when it's all said and done, so.
So why is it getting included in the change?
In order,
Contingency then.
because in order for him to count for it in his software, he has to
Gotcha.
actually count it as a change order in order for their software to account for it the right way. 'Cause I asked that question. Why is it in here? No, it's not in there, don't worry about it, it's just gonna show up on that because that's how I have to account for it in his software, so. But I asked.
So we're not waiting on any equipment or any type of supplies as far as you know,
No, everything it's,
here,
yep.
or installed?
Finally got the doors after Well, they wanted to deliver doors last July. Where do you want me to put them? There's no place to put them. Well, a month ago, okay, bring the doors. Yeah, no doors. Not sure where the doors are at. Can't get them to you. So they kept rattling cages, and again, it's one of those scenarios. They talked to this guy, didn't work. Called this guy, it didn't work. Called this guy, and then 5 minutes later, those two first conversations where nobody would respond to an email or a phone call, all of a sudden 5 minutes later, there's a phone call. Yep, we got your doors, and they're coming. Don't ask me why, but nature of the business, I suspect. But that'd be the only thing, John, that is not, would be a concern, because the rest of it is already here, just waiting in the process.
So for all intents and purposes, our completion date's intact?
Yeah, yep. August 14th, rubber stamp it. In fact, we will probably take control, hopefully, by the 1st of June. We will do a punch list on the wrestling space and take over ownership of that. And that basically, they're done, they're out, we're in. And part of that is trying to do it in correlation, in conjunction with the wrestling camp that we got June 6th and 7th. So it'd be nice if we can do that. So. Good? Yeah, I don't have any concerns. We'll be done. So that's my updates on the building project, Jill. So,
All right, thank you.
and the HVAC project. So.
Okay. All right, perfect. We'll move to discussion item E, which is capital outlay quotes. The school board will discuss capital improvements needed for the new facility completion, as well as the final quotes associated with regular summer projects.
Okay, so that is that color sheet. This sheet, like this, okay? So broke it up into two different components there. Everything in the yellow is part of the new facility. And to get that thing turned over and equipped with everything that we would need in order to make that thing accessible and utilize it in the fashion of what it was built for. Everything to the bottom of that, those are the summer outlay or capital outlay projects that we've brought to you in the last couple of months. There's a few more there, but we finally honed in on some of the pricing that didn't have pricing. So the totality of the two, it is what it is. That's what they are. I'm sure there's going to be a little leeway. Some of those are, I would say, like the bottom component of there. You can see that MPR roof repair. For 40 grand, that was the quote that they gave me. That's the one I found disagreeable. Said we're not doing that. We're going to find a different solution. But I put it in there anyway. Worst case scenario, if we had to, there it is. And then your parking lot crack seal project, oil-based versus epoxy, linear foot pricing. You can see the difference in the variation. Now, one of those two numbers are a compromise, would have to be added, but if you took 40 out of 160, you're down to 120. So we can kind of do some of the math on that. I will be honest with you, the guy that I talked to on doing the epoxy, he actually was here on the project doing all of our, he seals all the walls and all the cracks and stuff. That's what he does for a living. It's his deal. I called Bob Van Zee out at the food center because I had called Paul first. Paul says, we're out of that game. We don't do that. Call Bob. I call Bob. He said, well, this is the guy that I had do the parking lot. I called him. He's like, well, yeah, I'm down there. Like, what do you mean you're down there? Well, I'm in your new project. I'm the one filling all your cracks in your walls. So I went and talked to him, and that's kind of what we agreed on. He took a quick look at it, and we didn't go walk every crack out there, but he's like, it's not a priority of his, and he's not real wild about doing it. So that's the number he shot me. I don't know if we can convince him to do it or not. He does it, but maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But there's some areas out there that obviously need some attention. So I'm not sure, I never circled back with them, I mean, to hold his feet to the fire. I mean, to ask you point blank, you wanna do this or not? And get an answer, yes or no, so. Questions on the two differences in the different pots of money in which you're, Craig, do you have any comments on the bottom half? Because some of those things are in our budget, you know, like our card book and things like that.
I think those were all, yeah, those were all in there.
That we got most of that stuff accounted for, I believe.
Yes.
So we're looking at a number that is a viable number for us to do completion on
Yep.
many of those
Yep.
components. So,
The epoxy would last longer, no, yes, maybe?
I can't answer that question, man. I mean, the stuff that you have out there, it's still there. I don't know how long ago that's been.
That's epoxy out there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, your gray stuff, that's that same component, it's an epoxy is what he told me. But Craig, how long,
Been quite a few years for some of it.
was it all done in one fell swoop that was done? Or just a little here, a little there?
And it was always done by Weidenbach because they just did it when they'd either cut the pieces out and replace or fill the epoxy in.
Yeah, right.
In the places they didn't think were as bad, that needed to be cut out at the time.
Well, and when I did, you know, when I walked that with the wheel, the 6,000 linear feet, I mean, that was everything. I mean, now some of those cracks maybe wouldn't be worth the time yet to do anything with them, so it very well could be less than that, but, and I'm sure I didn't even get them all, but there were some I was kind of over the top on, whether it needed to be or not, so. That's really, I think, the only component there that is, I think, well, not the only one. The MPR roof
And that one. yeah.
and that one are the two wild cards here in the cost component. And I just need to go back to, I can't remember his name. And ask him point blank, you wanna do this or not? And if he doesn't, I'm not sure who to turn to. I mean, if you got ideas, here's something else out there. I mean, I'm not a big fan of doing the crack sealing with either Clark or Pro Seal, either one, because they're gonna do a 4 to 6 inch black. I mean, it'll do the job, but like I said, then you got, I'm not sure aesthetically what that turns your parking lot into. A bigger jigsaw puzzle. I just don't, I mean, I don't think that's the effective, yes. I mean, it'll take care of your problem. I mean, it'll keep moisture out of there, but it's, you know, aesthetically, it's probably not where you want to go, so. Any other thoughts on any of that?
Move to discussion item F, discuss 24-25 preliminary budget. School board will review the proposed first look at the 24-25 budget for the general capital, special education, food service, and enterprise funds.
Those are like this, you got them in your packet here, so I don't know if it could be 5-second conversation or 30-second
There,
conversation.
some of them are pretty close to legit and some are not yet. This is required by law to give you what I have done in May. It's been by no means anything close to the final that we have to approve in September. Remember, July, we don't even approve the final, that's not till September. So July is the budget hearing that we have. This is just our work in progress so far. So does anybody see any glaring questions that they had for me so far? You know, the general fund with the expenditures for salaries and stuff are all updated in there. Same thing with the with the sped might be off a little bit because we're still working on paras and things like that. So there's some work that needs to be done on that side. And, but as you can see, well, does anybody have any questions on the general fund first? We can just go back page by page real quick. Okay. Capital outlay, we're still talking about those things. Some of those things are not fully addressed in here yet. So capital outlay is kind of maybe, try to get our debt, where's that line? A building acquisitions one that, if you can see, that's, I tried to get that one approximately of what's left of the project. They're 1.4, but you know, some of the other stuff is not in there yet for that. Because most of that stuff.
Craig, which one is your last payment out of your QZEB stuff, or your other?
Yeah, I'm trying to find, oh, that's under 8110, the very last line. So that's the 623,000. There, that's the 66,000. And then 275, and it looks like I don't have that quite right yet either, because it should be 2 payments. I might have only had the 1 interest payment in there.
Oh.
You know what I mean, for the building project itself. But that's where that will be, and it is only 66.
Yeah.
And then, but that includes the 66, the 275. And then I think actually though, some of the other thing might have to go up to debt services now with the building project
Project,
itself is in the 5,000s. That's why I don't think it, because the capital or the QZAP bonds is a transfer. We're transferring it all into that other account that was set up in the Bank of Phillip out in Phillip, South Dakota right now, because really that's where all the money is sitting. It's still in, I get a checking account, it's in our name, I get the bank statements from it. Once the last payment goes in there, then it gets paid off. So that's why that's a transfer out and not a debt service. Special education there, a couple things to note though, 1223, 1224, those are going down because we will not have as many of the out-of-district programs, but I don't have all the summer exact right yet. But just kind of showing that there a little bit. Bond redemption, there's that 66,000 that we just talked about. Going into there. Food service, I have not touched that necessarily yet, but once again, we're still very wealthy there, so we're okay. Not gonna keep the staff that we have, even though the hands may be a little too many, but we're also looking at replacing the dishwasher. We're getting quotes on that, so that will be going in there, and that could be a pretty $30,000, $40,000 expenditure. But we got quotes coming on that. Lisa and I talked about that. The guy was here to repair it again, and he said they have this good unit that will still fit in there where we wouldn't have to remodel the whole thing, because it's that just that middle piece that goes between the whole makeup of the dish room and the current one that's been a very good model. He said they're making some changes on the newer models that he goes he doesn't like, so he's kind of maybe not pushing us but kind of helping us say it might be time to do it now rather than wait to get the newer version of it because of some changes they're doing of the parts inside and things like that. So that's what I have there. And then the enterprise fund is the last one that's your sped, or not sped, I'm sorry, preschool and driver's ed. So and I haven't done, and they're not changing, people aren't changing, so but I haven't done the math of what that total increase is or changed that one yet. Any questions on any of those? Like I said, it's early stages.
Any questions? Good. All right, we'll move to discussion item G. Discuss athletic complex master plan proposal from Mammoth. We'll review the cost proposal from Mammoth regarding the future development of a summer sports complex in cooperation with the city of Hubbardston.
April 18th, I believe, we had Mammoth right here. We had the city officials here. We had one guy out of Kansas City, I believe, one guy out of Sioux Falls via Zoom, if I remember right, and another guy on, I'm not sure where he was from, never did see his picture. But, questions on it, Scott, Matt, you guys sat in on the conversation. Good, feel good, don't feel good, warm fuzzies or cold shoulder, or, the cost proposal, what they agreed to, or what not agreed to, but what they are submitting to bring the athletic master planning to fruition. I was shocked when I got the number.
Yeah, so was I.
So,
That's total, that would be split between the two, not our share, right?
that's not, we owe that half and the city owes that half, and I don't care, it's 22.5, that was the total. And I asked him point specifically, I talked to Derek from Mammoth to say, okay, stupid question, and forgive me for being maybe too forward, I said, but that's like the total number, right, that we gotta split in half, or is that our share? He laughed. He goes, no, we'll come out and we'll go through this 4-month process with you. That's what you owe us when it's all said and done. Which, he told us, they had 2 projects in the hopper, school related. One was 25 and the other one was 40, if you recall that, so.
So this is what we pay, or this is what we split?
Split.
What you split.
Okay, I didn't understand that.
I thought they were very professional, and the one thing I would caution would maybe be that it almost seems like we're a little bit on the smaller end of what they would do. So I think we'd have to just kind of keep an eye on maybe some of the things they're gonna wanna do are gonna be a little bit more extravagant than we can really afford or need, I guess. But other than that, there's 3 of them in the room here and 3 of them in the room here, 3 of them on Zoom, so it was very good. So I'm all for the planning aspect of it. I think that's exactly what we need to do, but beyond that, I definitely want some type of plan in place of how we're gonna pay for this without raising any more taxes.
Exactly.
But the planning portion, I'm all for it.
And you just can't get anywhere until you have something to start from.
Yes.
You guys all learned that, and you all were very upfront and cautious in that regard too. Like, okay, show me something first, and then we can make the decision. And this will give you that vision as to what, and the process that they go through for 4 months to get it to where you want it. Even though he put it up on the schematic up there, I don't know where in God's green earth where they got the soccer field concept from, but it certainly didn't come from me. But I think the equivalent is, it didn't matter if you put soccer fields there or football fields there. Bottom line is, with the acreage that's out there, this is what could fit there. And it was like, you would have never thought, I didn't think that you could put everything that they had out there. Now, to your point, does it have to be that? No, but it's just giving you that 50,000 foot view. That's what could.
So what's out there? Have we got a football field or a practice football field?
They had
or what?
3 soccer fields.
Yeah.
One softball game field, and then they had a softball quad. So one complex in the northeast corner over there, 4 softball fields with a component in the middle. And then there was a standalone softball field over here, soccer field over here in the kind of north-southwest corner, and then 2 more soccer fields just to the north of the game football field. They had it all sitting in there. That's what could fit in
It was
there.
just more of a representation.
Yeah, they just put something in there to give you an idea of how big it is. Yeah, how much you could. Yeah.
What is up there? 30 acres, 40 acres?
15, I think, 15 or 16.
Oh, that's not me questioning. I
I
couldn't.
think that's what I've
Tell
heard.
you.
That's what sticks in my head. But
How many?
I could be wrong, 15 or 16,
I think that's right.
15,
I was even
16
gonna say
acre?
12, but.
somewhere's in that range. I don't think it's 30 though. I've never heard that. It was in the teens or right around there.
So the city seemed to be pretty receptive.
My last conversation with Mayor Sumler was, it's on their agenda for tomorrow night. So this is going in front of them and their city council And he gave me every indication that there will be a vote on their behalf to move forward with the master planning, so.
Okay.
No, that was,
There was 4 of them here, and none of them had any
yeah,
objections.
yeah. I don't know how many city council members there are, I have no clue.
7 with the mayor?
I think they just say 6 in the mayor.
So,
Went to it that night. Maybe only 4 in the mayor.
4 or 5.
Yeah.
anyway,
Okay, do we need a motion to approve?
in order to move forward and let Mammoth know that's something that we want to do, and by the way, the work is gonna start immediately. So, I guess the question is, you know, Scott and Matt, you guys want to be in those chairs as far as development, I don't know who else, I'll talk to Derek about that. But I would say some, you know, maybe there's some coaches on there, Mr. Fisher, AD component, I don't, you know, have any heartburn with who's on there, but just think about that, you know, I can get some more direction from him as to how many people he wants on there when the city is part of that, and the school district is part of that. I mean, what is that, too many cooks spoil the soup kind of concept? I don't know, so, but just be thinking about that. But it will start like May, and they thought even by September, and they could have this thing done. So, we're gonna have to spend some time during the summer, meeting with these people and having conversations and discussions about what the vision is for that space out there, so.
Was their vision both either or, like turf or grass, or was it just turf
It's
stuff?
they have none.
They-
You tell
okay.
them what you want,
I
and
just saw
they
the
will
turf
go
complex this weekend.
to the nth degree to put it. If you want numbers on both ways, they will put a package together, numbers on both ways. And what I was impressed, I know we're beating this up a little bit, but what I was impressed with is the specificity. Every line item, even the littlest, tiniest thing that you wouldn't even think about cost, they have a cost component for it. I mean, the list that they had there, that you could change one tiny little thing and they'll tell you what that's gonna change, how that's gonna change the price of the overall project when you get to that point. I mean, they have their estimators right there, their cost people are right there, they have everything in-house. They don't have to go research, they do it right there, and they can tell you instantaneously within a day. If we change this to this and wanted that instead of that, what's that gonna do? Okay, we'll get back to you in like 3 hours, and they'll tell you that's what it's gonna do. I'm like, oh, way
Pretty cool.
responsive. So,
The bad thing about all turf is we went to a couple softball over it, it gets hot
Mhm.
out there.
Very hot. The Wagner football field is very hot track season compared to the shot and disc area
Right.
where
And
it's
it
grass.
sure, yeah,
Oh, it's
absolutely.
stunk. It,
Yep.
you know, rubber
Rubber
tire.
smell, yep.
Yeah, so that's the only bad part about turf.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact they
And the
got,
ball comes a lot faster.
in their turf component, they have 2 or 3 different product lines. I mean, there's probably this, this, and this.
Sure.
You know, I've talked with Derek about that, and some of it's proprietary, some of it is their own, what do you call that? They got patents for it. It's their stuff. They don't know
Are
nobody
they the ones who did the
else's.
Sanford complex?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a beautiful complex.
But Anyway, yes, you need a motion, Jill,
Yeah,
to
okay.
accept the proposal,
Okay.
if you could.
So we need a motion to accept the proposal from Mammoth.
So moved.
Moved by Prohl, second by Turner. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
All right, we will move to discussion item H, discuss softball's request for financial support. The school board will consider the softball program's request for financial support to pay for related expenses.
I put that related there, it's something that looks like this. Coach Hobbick could not be here. We have Coach Dale here, I think. I'm not sure how willing she is being here, but to answer any particular questions that we may have, Coach Hobbick is under the weather, so that's the only reason why she's not here. So she sent this to me today, and she understands, you know, a year into it, you know, the premise as to the board's philosophy and when it originally came about a year ago to move forward with the concept and put the program in place, that, you know, nothing more from a monetary contribution on the board's behalf, taking that same approach where some of the club stuff in years gone by. I think the biggest angst that I got from Coach Hobbick and sitting down and visiting with her, this year we had Mr. Linneman and Mr. Semler very graciously volunteer all of their time to umpire the girls' home softball games, and I think that was probably a little more than those two maybe wanted to bite off. So they've informed Abby that they can't do that, you know, moving forward, they're not going to do that. So the greatest portion, if you look at this softball expense side of things, is paying those officials. And we have a JV game and a varsity game, correct me if I'm wrong, Amber, right, at every home event and even every away event. So the officiating is probably the greater expense. I don't think the city had any angst with, they helped us prep the field, chalk the field, doing those things. They have no problem with continuing to do that. It's just the major cost of the officiating at that point. And then the expense, which is an unknown, if you can see that question mark for gas for transportation, you know, and they carpooled when they had to go away. So I believe the other component that it's not on here, you know, I think there recently, last week, the question came up because of some transportation complexities to a one-time request to take the 15-passenger van. I believe that was granted. You know, so moving forward into the next season, a year from now, is whatever contribution the board may be willing to help with, to some degree, whatever number it would be, or perhaps the utilization of a 15-passenger van. There's not asking we need this much amount, we're asking that much amount. She made that very clear to me. It's to get you guys to think about, if you want to make any contribution towards the softball program, then they would be more than happy to have the support, so.
We did do our OTA grant for the Parks and Area Foundation, was awarded some money for like equipment that can stay with the program. So, but we did talk about with the new place here that maybe a second pitching machine would be nice, and some of that stuff that would be long-term equipment buys. And then we are set up to sell popcorn on Thursday nights in the park, so we've been doing some fundraising. We're doing a little youth camp this coming weekend, and so.
And you guys, that's not the only one. I think you've taken some initiative to do some of the fundraising,
Yep.
you know, on your own accord to try to fill that bucket, so I mean.
We're graduating 2, but I think she did kind of a survey, and at least 8 or 9 new ones coming out next year, so numbers are good.
If you want to know the success of the program, last time I looked, which was last week, you know, top 16, and it's a one-game play-in, you know, 1 versus 16, so 8 teams win, there's your state tournament. And we were 8 or 9, or we were the 12th seed, but we were right in the hunt as far as the record. I mean, what are you now? 7 and 8, 8 and 8, 8 and 9, 9 and 8, somewhere in there, something like that, so.
Yeah.
I mean, just put that on your radar,
Yeah,
God willing, one game play-in, and if you get the right draw, if you get that draw, I think you could probably win that draw. It's a school up north, I'm not gonna say their name, but if you get that draw, very well could be going to the state tournament. And then, how, if anything, how would you like to support that? If you send this team to a state softball tournament in their inaugural year. So just something to think about. So. No, I don't know that any decisions have to be made tonight. The ask is there, it's out there, the seed's been planted. You wanna decide, you can. You wanna have a conversation, you can. You wanna table it, you can. I don't know that there's, at this stage of the game, a necessity to say yea or nay or whatever. I don't,
First
giving you your
First
options.
weekend in June, if we go state.
part of it is if it's something that we wanna do or you wanna do, then it's gotta be part of the budget, so.
For next year, yeah.
And yes, state tournaments, 4th and the 5th, I believe, right? 5th,
First
6th?
weekend in June.
Yeah, 4th, 5th, 6th, something like that. 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. And in the end.
And where's it at?
Aberdeen.
And I'm pretty sure that'll, I mean, for the interim, they kinda got a niche up there. I mean, they got it cornered because they did it last year now. I could see it coming to the Sanford complex real easily, but I don't know that they'll move it out of Aberdeen here in the next couple of years, so.
Anybody have questions or thoughts?
How many years did gymnastics go before we helped out at all? Does anybody remember?
I don't have that number in my head, but I think there had been times periodically through that 10-year span of time where there was some contributions.
There was, but it was
and
quite a few years
donation.
before it wasn't.
Yeah,
Well, there was a
donation.
lot, there was a few years of not before it actually happened, is what I'm saying.
Do you guys wanna think about it, or should we table it, or do you guys wanna, any thoughts or opinions, beliefs?
You
What
need
do
more, you need research, you need, no, what, I mean, what do you need? I know it's kinda quick here, so.
Assuming you guys are obviously doing some fundraising and whatnot, what kind of a shortfall are you looking at having for next year?
Mainly the umps.
Just the umps you're thinking?
Well, if we, because we got, the boosters gave us a little bit, I know, and Abby has the numbers, but the grant from the Parks and Area Foundation, I did like kind of earmark that or say in my grant that that was actually going to be spent on equipment that would retain in the program to help build our program. So, yeah, whatever fundraising we do was gonna go towards fees, basically.
So it says this is the 2024 expenses, but I thought you said they were volunteer.
There, so Darren and Tim did not do every game.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yep, Darren and Tim said they would do the games they could for a year
Yeah.
for free.
So we
for
did
us.
have to
And then
pay.
Darren's mom and some circumstances where we had to find some homes.
How much do you think it would be?
It's
Per
it's
year.
about $145 a night per official.
Per
That's
official.
what Beersford pays. I've looked
Okay,
into that.
And how many?
So it's
games?
$300 a night. times
eight home games.
Okay.
So you
That's
basically,
Down there, they
legit.
have
That's
a
what
projector,
Beersford
it's
pays.
25.
You
Oh,
paid-
I didn't even see that,
Mileage
okay.
game, Right, so it's not if we have to go farther to get a, it's gonna cost us more
Yep.
for mileage.
that Saturday, we had one from Yankton, and I think one from Mount Vernon. I
Yep.
think Clayton came from Mount Vernon, the other one from Yankton. So, and
And pretty much, this is pretty much the same as a basketball
Yeah, yeah,
umpire,
yeah.
cost-wise,
Yep.
is what I've heard from other business managers. Because they got a varsity game and a JV game that they
How
get
much
paid
do we
for.
give to gymnastics per season?
how much it
What
does
do
it
we do for
cost?
them? I can't remember. What do we
Well, in the
pay
last
now?
couple of years, the contribution you made to the gymnastics program, I think the last two for sure was like, before you took on the whole expense of the program was $1,500. I think the first 2 years that I've been here. So that was a number that
1,015.
I'm almost positive.
Has this been shown to Ethan? You guys presented anything to Ethan?
So that,
Oh,
those
Ethan's
parents,
school board's coming up too.
yeah, those parents, what I was told, were taking that to the Ethan School Board tonight, just basically, hey, here's what it is, and kind of the same, asking the same question.
And not that, I mean, travel worked, like I would drive, Coach Denning would drive, and Abby would drive. And then luckily, like Patty Titsey would drive, but otherwise we were relying on some seniors driving carloads of kids too, which I didn't know really how we felt about doing that, but it happened a couple of times, but it'd be nice to travel together.
If you could have one thing paid for, what would it, just umpires with that, is that what you're asking, or are you asking to use the vehicle, or?
Well, the 15 passenger van actually wouldn't be enough,
Okay.
so we'd still be driving, a parent or two would be driving kids.
Abby expressed to me that the greatest expense is the umpires. If there's any way that the school board could put towards money for officiating, whether it's all of it or some of it, any of it would be
Yeah, just-
welcomed.
Yeah, we're still planning to fundraise, we're still gonna do some of our own stuff, but
Okay.
any help would be appreciated.
Okay. Jen, what do you think?
I'd like to know what Ethan's take on the whole situation is. I mean, me personally, I wouldn't have a problem doing a portion of this. You know, if we're looking at $2,400, you look at that, this is a 50-50 deal, 1,200 us, 1,200 Ethan. I mean, I don't know what you guys' thoughts are, but I think that could possibly be within our wheelhouse. Just my opinion. I don't know what you guys,
Yeah.
what are you guys' thoughts?
How many of the players are from Ethan?
I think we have 6 or 7 from Ethan, but when she pulled for like how many next year, I think there was another 6
Oh,
addition.
so about half and half?
Yeah, so it is pretty decent, half and half.
Okay.
Yeah.
What
Plus
about,
the young ones coming up.
okay, what about you, Scott?
I mean, like with baseball, you know, parents get the kids there. I don't know who, do you guys do like dues, or do they just have to pay their own,
We had everybody buy their own uniforms this year,
okay.
but not do.
So
Not dues like baseball.
Like baseball, we do dues, and then the club buys the uniforms, right?
Yeah, we didn't pay for the uniforms.
Right.
Yeah. The club did, but that's, I think they pay for it based on the dues.
Yeah,
Right.
kind of long going.
Yeah, yeah.
That's been building for a while. for
That's
quite
your
a while.
summer program you're referencing? right
No,
now?
the spring program we pay. We pay a
What
fee for the spring program, don't we?
What program are we talking?
High school
Baseball.
baseball,
Excuse me now?
the high school baseball.
What about high school baseball?
They pay a dues and fees for that.
We pay a fee for the kids to play spring baseball,
Who do you pay that to?
the club,
Club.
What club?
baseball club.
Is that part of
It's
the,
not part of the summer baseball, it's a different club.
just stands alone on its own 2 feet?
But it's been going on for
Yeah,
a
they
lot of
probably have
years,
been
so
able to
they've,
build it up.
Sure, sure.
they've been
Yeah,
building
reusing stuff.
and that stuff, so.
And I do know it's separate from the youth summer stuff,
It's like our.
Yeah.
because JD
softball
keeps track
uniforms
of
are
it.
Yes, yeah.
each
The
kid
spring one.
Very
put
separate, yeah.
$150 right away.
What is the fee? for?
It's is it $50, yeah.
So I know, I think, if I remember right, the uniforms, like right off the bat, was about 130 to 150 bucks that we all.
I bet you when
got our
baseball
uniforms.
started, they did the same thing, or they had fundraisers to pay for the difference, or,
Yeah.
I'm sure they did the same thing when that started. I wasn't part of that, but I'm guessing, I don't know how else they would have paid for it, but,
To Jen's point, I have not talked with Mr. Hawkins
Yeah.
about this.
well, I mean, even if they don't, we could still pay for half. Like the be 1,200 and see if they're willing to pay that. What do you think, Matt?
Excuse me. I mean, the only reason I voted yes last year, less than a year ago, is because it wasn't gonna be any funding going to it, so I vote no, I don't. You guys know my stance on that, we have to stop at some point, so.
What about you, Jen?
Yeah, no, I'd be willing to help out as part of the educational experience here. If it's boys' baseball, you know, I'm sure that's gonna get, and we'll have to address it.
God, I hope.
I mean, if we look at bigger picture.
It's in a 2-year study right now, so just still good.
I mean, we have 60 or 70% of the schools in the state opt out. And, you know, it's all about funding, it's all about money. And so if parents are wanting this, which they do, then,
Well, they're paying for most of the program.
well, I get it, but we're still helping out.
No, I know, I mean, the kids. What I'm saying is what we could help, because they are paying for most of the program.
Right.
Yeah,
And so it's all because of, to Matt's point, it's all about funding.
yeah.
So, you know, we have schools right around us that have opted out. We haven't because we've been fortunate to make it work. And
Yeah.
it's what parents want, and if they want it, then we gotta have the money to do it, as to Craig's point. So, I just, you know, I don't think it's that difficult from the standpoint of It just takes some funds.
Okay.
And maybe we have to look at a bigger picture of that here.
When will you hear back on your grant?
For the Carson area, we've already been awarded.
You were doing work?
Yep.
And when are you doing your fundraising?
We're doing Thursday nights at AMP Thursdays.
Okay.
We're selling popcorn.
I mean, could it be such a deal that let them fundraise, do their thing, and
Wait and see.
come back and,
After
you
the
know,
summer.
come back after the summer and
Yep.
see once where you're sitting and how you're doing, and if at that point,
If we do make it to state, is it an option for us to at least ask for one vehicle or help with that?
Is it the same weekend as state golf?
No,
Good. I'm just thinking of other things that would use it
yeah, no.
at that time.
State golf is Monday, Tuesday of that week, and then softball is the Thursday, Friday, Saturday of that same.
Because you would just take the varsity, so then it would
Right.
fit.
Right.
That's 15
Yeah, I
passes.
think they were gonna see for sure what.
I'm just
number on
saying
the
we, you
roster,
know,
but 12-ish.
Other groups, usually that's what happens. you know.
I think they're divided, you know, it's part of the Constitution, the bylaws, on how many you can actually have on your roster.
Yeah, they were
Just
gonna
like any
check, I
other
think it was
sport.
12 or something. on the
I
roster.
can't remember what it is, I don't.
Yeah,
I
saw
wouldn't,
that you
I wouldn't be
play some
opposed to
games.
using the vehicle if,
Yeah.
yeah, that would be totally fine if you guys make it, that would be great.
It's the first weekend in June.
Yep.
Is anybody opposed to that? You guys good with that?
Okay. Yeah, and then just kind of report back at the end of summer how we did fundraising
Yeah.
and
yeah.
where we're at.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay.
Check on it.
We'll help if we can.
Okay.
Thank
Sounds
you.
good.
Okay. All right, we will move to discussion item I, which was an addition. Discuss early graduation request from a student. There was a letter in our packet.
That was part of the packet that I had at Staples, so you'll see the letter. And then I put the actual policy per se on early graduation. The graduation and early is part of it, so. I think the letter kind of explains, to give you a chance, I know you haven't seen it, so maybe we'll just take, 60, 90 seconds here and let you read through that letter request and then have an ensuing conversation, so. Get you to sign. If you're done reading it.
Yeah, thank you. My computer won't start up tonight. Is that the last one? This one here, what you did, what you tried. Yeah.
Anybody have questions about that or any thoughts about the letter? I've never experienced this. I don't know if you had either, but
There was one other time it happened, in my tenure.
I had called him and asked him questions about it because I'd never heard of it, honestly. So I just asked some simple questions, but he sounds like he has it together and he's done a good job of putting the work in, so I
He,
thought it would be
Did
fine.
he take online classes or something?
not yet. So he will be here this semester, in the fall of '24. He'll be here. And then the English that he has left, then he will take that to finish that credit. So that half credit actually, so
After the fall semester.
after the fall semester. Well, no, it's my fault. He'll take it simultaneously, so when he walks away in December, he's done.
Okay.
Yes, my fault, clarification, so. Because we only require half credit of government and then a full year of English. So, and he will make that part of his schedule this fall, so.
Does anybody have concerns about that request?
It sounds like these guys plan a pretty good plan for it. I'd have no problem with granting it.
Yeah, okay. We need a motion to approve that.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
that's something that's above and beyond, so you're,
All right, we see a motion to approve, do I need to say his name? Student's request for
Yeah,
early
student,
graduation
yeah.
request? Yep, okay.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Leishner, seconded by Turner. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
All right, we'll move to action items. Action item A is to approve financial report. The school board will review the April financial report for discussion and approval.
is that in the packet, Craig? I think you
Yeah,
got
that's
it.
here.
It should be.
Yeah.
It's that goldenrod colored one. It's the official, right after the green.
Anybody have questions for Craig?
Special ed's little low, is that?
Yes, it is.
Or just,
And, where's the ending balance, 165 compared to last year, and that's because of those out-of-district placements, really, to be honest with you. Plus, we added two aides to the budget after the fact, so there'll be a budget amendment at the end. Two aides that were not originally in the initial budget to begin with. And our speech therapy is costing a little bit more as well. Those are the reasons why.
Our speech numbers have went up to the point where we're actually, I won't say we're double dipping, but we're paying for an SLP, speech language pathologist, plus we're paying to fill the
assistant.
bucket to make sure everybody's served as an assistant as well. But we worked with Becky to come up with a price point in that. I don't remember when, Craig, you remember when we did that conversation?
When?
Yeah, it was last fall that we.
Yeah, but they've had additional costs on top of that from that time.
Yeah.
We're gonna have another discussion in August, or July, about possible scheduling changes that they can do to not require so many hours. Because number one, they're having a hard time finding that speech languages, filling their positions that they need to help us out as well. So she's gonna have to look at some scheduling things and different stuff that maybe can help out if they can't find somebody. So it's not just our issue as much as it is theirs too. But those are the reasons why it's down. And like I said, that's why I kind of pointed out too, is some of those out-of-district ones, we won't have those costs next year. So, and we won't have to worry about maintenance of effort because we're losing those students. So when you have that change of a loss of a student, then it's a rationale. Because maintenance of effort, meaning you gotta expend at least as much as you did the year before.
No, we're losing 3 residential placements right now, or 3 program placements
Yeah,
that are
program.
above and beyond, so,
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that they can't hold you accountable for, because the kids aged out of the program, so.
Yeah.
Why aren't you spending as much as you did last year? Because we're short 3 kids that had some costs associated.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's I don't know if you call it's a pass. I
Yeah.
mean, they give you okay. Because there's a chance you won't make maintenance of effort. If you don't, you have to have a good reason why you didn't, so.
But that's the two main reasons why it's down from what the balance was last year at this time, was those being a little bit more.
We're getting decent rates on our invested money here.
Yeah, taxes are coming in just here in May, so really I don't have many savings accounts invested right at the moment, other than the big ticket one of the project fund, but,
Still in 4, isn't it?
well, I haven't done one for a while because we haven't got enough tax money to actually
Reinvest.
reinvest. That's probably getting 2 large chunks of it at a time and certain times a year, so I'll go and probably invest 3 or 4 savings accounts at 200 apiece here in a week. So I haven't, to be honest with you, John, I haven't had to, so I don't know. The ones we were getting were course were for. I haven't looked at, if you go to South Dakota Fit website right now, we can tell you what we're probably gonna get. 'Cause usually that's what we kind
I'm
of
guessing
That's
that's,
barometer.
agreed upon, well, because I kind of went to him and said, you know, well, we can get this here.
4-1 or 4-2, that'd be my first guess, but.
It tells you right on its
I don't know
website
what
what
interest
what
is.
their current rate is, so I can tell you. Current is 4.96
Oh, jeez.
daily yield. That's not quite fit, so that probably would be about where we'll be. If he stays.
Okay, any other questions? I just need a motion to approve the financial, the financial report for April.
So moved. I'll second.
Moved by Sean Fowler, second by Pearl. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Okay.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
All right, we'll move to action item B, to approve SDHSAA membership amendment and BOD. The school board will vote on Parkston High School membership, name, image, and likeness constitutional amendment, and the ballots for West River at-large superintendent and Native American representative to the Board of Control.
Questions, I put all those in your packet, the bios were in there. I mean, if you don't, I suspect you don't know those guys, who do we vote for based on what they put in there? I can give you my 2 cents, but your decision, I don't have a heartburn unless you wanna.
There's a lot more options than normal,
Yeah,
isn't there?
no, absolutely. Well, when you're on the East River, you have a hard time finding somebody. West River, they're lining up at the door apparently to be on there. And I kinda know why that is, but.
I can speak for myself, I don't know about the board, but we'd like your 2 cents.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say the same thing. I would,
So if you look at the superintendent West River at large, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are on there, there's 3 of them that are, I would see, superintendents that are probably schools our size, or similar our size, or maybe even smaller than our size. You actually know Mr. Long, you had a chance to visit with him a couple years ago, if you remember that. And then Mr. Pearson from Lee Deadwood, Mr. Pearson spent 10 years out at Burke. So he's over here, I've worked with Eric for many, many years at the Mid-Central, so either one of those guys. And I know Mark Noggle personally too out at Custer. He's been in our leadership organizations, superintendent's organization for several years, all good guys. I think Corey is too, he's got a large school feel to it, so, I mean, if I was voting for somebody who's gonna be representative of and work for the benefit of the students out there, and I think they all would, but who's got some rational thought processes behind them. I mean, Chris or Eric, Mark, any one of those 3 would be my recommendations to do that.
Mark seems like he has the most experience.
Reading through Mark's
He's
bio.
been around longer,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's been in Custer longer than the other ones have been in their spots, yeah.
So,
That makes the most sense. Does everybody agree with that one?
yep.
Okay.
Nago?
and then, the Native American, the only thing I'm going off of there, I don't know any of those people. The one I know of is Mr. Wilson at Todd County. And I had another superintendent reach out to me and said, hey, you know, this would be a great fit for our board control. And the ask was to support Mr. Wilson from Todd County. So other than that, I didn't hear from any other, just what's in the bios that you read. So, I mean, that's all I can tell you about that one, so.
I actually checked him too, after reading through the bios.
Okay, well, that's fine. If everybody's in agreement with that.
Chuck, you said right?
Yes.
Yep.
Mr. Wilson?
Okay. Got it.
Do we need to vote on this? Oh, yeah, you got that.
You need a motion, yeah.
We gotta do one more, don't we?
Oh, there's one more
Yeah,
thing
we
into
have,
it.
so we have an amendment to the Constitution, and that is, as centered around the concept of name, image, and likeness. Everything in that was red, which is also the red messaging that was in there. I do not see anything in there that would, I think it protects the student and it protects you as an organization, as a school board, to, you know, when something like this happens where you have that rare athlete who's gonna maybe potentially go out and somebody's gonna come after this particular student athlete and want a piece of them. I think what it does for you as a school district it actually prohibitive. So let's say he's a Parkston Trojan and that's what he's known as, but in no way, shape, or form can he profit in name, image, or likeness from any of your relationship or apparel or association, even to a point of copyright. I mean, what you've had before, they can't do that. And part of that is it's to protect the student for their amateur standing and their amateur status. So I would recommend you guys to vote yes for the amendment to the name, for the inclusion of name, image, and likeness in the Activity Association Constitution.
Okay, everybody in agreement? You're okay with yes?
Yes.
Okay. So we need a motion to
Motion for
approve
all of that,
all
yeah.
three?
It'll be all in one
And
motion.
the
I have it all
last,
typed
the
up over
last
here.
thing too there, it's not in there, but I have the sheet, is to join the Activities Association.
Participate for next year,
Yeah.
participation for
Yeah.
next year, right?
Yeah.
The agreement, yep, I had that in there
Okay,
too.
so we just need a motion to approve?
Yes.
So,
Kroll,
Second.
second by Leishner. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
All right, action item C is to approve 24-25 negotiated agreement, which was included in the packet.
That's just the formality, we're done. I just need to have the master negotiated agreement approved overall, and you already put your John Hancock on it, so.
Yep, okay, so we just need a motion to approve.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Moved by Sean Feller, second by Nebo. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
All right, we have to go into executive session, so we'll clear the room.
So we need a break at
8:01.
Okay.